So let's take a look at the geometry of a hand. I like to break it down into 3 parts: the palm area, the thumb, and the finger area. And then of course the wrist and this going off is important, but I'm not counting this as part of the hand. So the palm area, we're looking at the reverse part of the palm. We could do it this way too, but this is easier for me right now. This area is basically a pentagon. The sides are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me draw that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the thumb is off of that, and then there's this finger area. If you imagine, this is kind of a rounded shape at first. Don't let the different height of the fingers confuse you. We'll just go like that. And the distance from here to here, you can measure on the index finger. I'll put my fingers on the pencil like that to measure. I'll use the tip, put the tip right there, measure the index finger, and then I'll use that same measurement. I'll go back and see, look at that. The distance between here and here is about the same as here and here. And let's try to translate that onto paper. Let's see, what did I see? I saw a pentagon shape like this. Remember that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is where the arm would come off. All right, and what did I say we're going to do? Oh, and if you noticed in your pentagon, this side here, don't make this a square. Don't bring it down here. Kind of bring it down like this. It kind of goes out and down like that. Now, this kind of mitteny shape off here, how long is it? I'm going to have to bring my paper over a little bit. Well, it was the same distance, remember, from here to here. So, out to here. This would be where the index finger comes. And we'll just kind of draw like that. Okay, and remember where the thumb came off? Down here, right? Right about there. Now, one thing to mention about the thumb is you need to remember that the bone goes like this. The thumb is actually the longest finger you have. You've got if you could see the bones inside, they would go all the way like this, and that's actually longer than your middle finger. So when you're drawing this part of the thumb, there's a whole bone in here. There's a bone along here and here and here and here and here. And so all you're seeing is this part coming out like this. And if you'll notice, most people, the thumb it goes straight out. This part will go straight out, and then it curves out a little bit like this. If you're just sitting there. So this is actually, part of the thumb too. So then if I want to add where the fingers go, the smallest finger, something like that. And then now my hand, these fingers are even. Some people might have one like that, or these two might not be even on mine. I have it, they're even. So this one and this one, we'll divide the space up 4 ways. Make my little finger a little bit longer. Now I've got to remember here, this is where my measurement came to for this finger. So I want to make sure to bring that one out longer. That one's going to be the same as here. And you can see that one's quite a bit shorter. Okay, so this will kind of be my rough outline. You can measure, it's really good to measure with your pencil. How far from here to here, like if we measure the pinky, it's about the same. So here to here, I can do that on my paper. Here to here, so I don't make it too long. Now that I have this rough guideline in here, what I can do now is I can kind of round it out and make it look a little more like a real hand. And like looking at my hand, I can see here this is kind of a curved shape. It's not really flat, so I can make this more curvy. And then I can, if I look very carefully at this line, up, down, over like this, this is the time where I could make And that goes around the knuckle a little bit. You can do some really nicely observed lines. This would be, and what I like to do is kind of pretend like this is my hand. So like I can feel like it's as if the pencil's kind of tickling my skin there, and then I can kind of feel that's about where that would be, and that's about where that would be. And then now look at the difference here. This one's going to be up like that. This one's actually even this with this. So these two. Okay. And then you can do this is actually more, goes up and around and over, and then up there. There's kind of got a bump here for this knuckle. Comes down here. Now the thumb here, I'm going to make this more meaty, a little bit larger here. And this knuckle, it can kind of even just make yourself kind of know where that knuckle is and go around that. Just got a big knuckle right there, so that's going to go around like this. I think I made it a little bit long. I think I need to shorten it up a little bit. Okay, and then a lot of times you have, now, I guess I had it this way at first. Try to figure out how I first had it. Like that. Okay, and then I can add, look, if I want to add the nails, I can look at the way the line slants here. How does this go? Doesn't this line here goes about like at this angle? So I want to do the same angle on my paper. And notice how this curves down. It looks like a little sliver. I can see the nail here, but I can't see it. It kind of goes off like this. Okay. And then I've got these lines here. You can kind of feel how that feels on my hand. Okay, and then this is my knuckle area, knuckle area. Like around like that. Don't be overly concerned with the nails. Like sometimes you want. I'm making them kind of darker, but sometimes you want to. You don't use some drawings where you really don't worry too much about showing them. Okay, and then these knuckles are kind of lined up in a row, but this one goes here, here, and then these are more. These are about lined up rather than the difference you get down there. Okay, and then you get this kind of crack going in there. Kind of separate them now. And then over here, don't forget there's your bones underneath. Right in here, there's a bunch of wrist bones called your carpals. And then you have two other bones that kind of come up and meet them like this. So you have this kind of, and bumpy on mine, you can really see it. See that bump like that. On here, you don't see them so well. Okay, so that's kind of like the geometry, basic geometry of a generic hand. And yours might be a little bit different, but most people's is about, you can about the same like that. Measurements here, and everybody has this shape, pentagon, and with the thumb going off at an angle like that. That's the same for everyone. Now what about if you want to draw the hand like this, holding something? Now we just did the basic geometry of the hand, but in here we can't really see the palm. This is going to be, it's almost all thumb. Now what you do in a case like this is to try to see this shape. You have something to look at. Turn this into shapes. You can even close one eye so it looks very flat. Doesn't confuse you with 3 dimensions. Pretend you're looking at a picture, and just notice this shape here. I'll move my hand over a little bit and see if we can So we've got one line here, here. Just see this as a whole entire shape. Down like that. Alright, so that's that top part. And then we have the thumb coming up. And think of this as like a chicken drumstick sort of. This is like the big, meaty, muscly part. Like a drumstick. Okay, and then that's where, so most of your drawing in here is going to be thumb. This is even probably meatier down here. And just look carefully. This line goes out, then in, and then out. So out, and it takes a lot of practice to get it accurate. You can't just do a couple drawings and expect to get it perfect. It's difficult. Hands are very, very difficult to draw. Okay, and then we'll come up in here. And then we have this area is shadowed in here. I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. I'm just going to shadow that part in. And then over here, well, can we see this goes out here from the thumb a little bit. And then we can see these fingers peeking out. One here, and look, kind of like this. One here, one kind of jammed back in there, and the little pinky right there. Okay, and then what you can do is you can go back in and draw the cracks, hand like this. Draw the little cracks and wrinkles there. I can see this peeking through here. I can see where the other finger is going through. This is a bit challenging. I'm trying to draw it in front of the camera here. Okay. And then I like working pencil because I can go back and say, oh wow, I made that knuckle not too big. I can see I need to make that a little bit bigger right there. So then I can go and I can make it larger. And I can see a little bit of the other knuckle peeking out back there too. Okay. Alright, and then I can say, I don't know, what is it holding? Something, a leaf or something we're looking at here. Okay. And then you can look at for shadows if you want to even make it more realistic. Like this here, I get some shadow going from under here. These back here are very shadowed in. You can hardly see them. And the key to knowing what to do, knowing what to draw, is just look at it. That's the nice thing about drawing hands, is you always have one with you, don't you? You don't have to go in the closet and try to find something to draw. Your hand is always right there. It's a great thing to practice on. Okay, so make sure this part is all shaded in there. You can still see the cracks. Now what about drawing a fist? That's very different from both of the previous poses. Well, what kind of shape do we have here? It's almost like a circle, isn't it? It's got a little blip there, a little thing here, but it's pretty much of a round shape like this. And then the wrist kind of going off there. Okay, so, but it's straight-ish right here, and straight-ish right there. And then we have that little thing block coming in there. And then we have these guys going down like this. And then this coming in. I got some wrinkles down there to show me where it is. Okay, now this, thicken up the thumb now. And here we go with this big meaty drumstick here again. Big chicken drumstick. Oh, maybe that's too large. That's why you got an eraser on your pencil. Okay, Okay, you don't forget to use the cracks or the lines or the folds in the skin to help you draw. I'm looking here, putting that in. Okay, and then I'm looking at this shape here. This is what that was, and it almost covers this finger here. The thumb pretty much almost covers it. It looks like I can see about that much of the nail. Okay, we got. I'm going to make some adjustments here. I'll make this a little bit larger. Okay, I need to make this a little larger, and I can see back in here this little line kind of showing me kind of makes a difference if I move my head back and forth. Sometimes I can see that finger and sometimes I can't. So it sort of depends on how my head is. But the finger is kind of tucked back in there. When you notice, look for shadows. Look at this really deep shadow in here. That's going to be a key. This is all shadowed in there. It's going to be a key to making it look 3D. It's shadowed inside there. Okay, now what about this guy? This next one. Still pretty large. Coming out here. Now look at this line. Line up the tips. They come right across. You can measure. Let's see. From this line here, how is it? If you can measure, let's see if I can get it on the video. From here to here is about the same from here to here. So that I know if I like split my circle in half. Right? There's my circle. And there's my line like that in half. I'll get it approximately right. And then look at this little wedge down here, like this. So the little fingers are going to be down here. Okay. Then I can really see these bends. Look at this. These are lined up here too. Always look for the line that lines up the knuckles. That'll help you. If you think of this as a flat plane and this as a flat plane, so it's this and this. So I have this flat plane. You notice how all of these are a little bit more shaded, so I'm going to just go all of them a little bit darker. Okay. And so you can make adjustments there and see some wrinkles coming out there like that. One pose you might have opportunity to draw quite a bit is somebody holding a pencil. Now, it's really important here to not let this get you too distracted. But you can use this to kind of help you be a reference point, what angle. Now, that's the angle that it's going at, so I'm going to make the same thing on my paper. Move my thing up a little bit here. So that's going to be the angle of my pencil. Now let's look at this shape. What are we going to do here? This is sort of a circle. Well, I'm going to line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of like a squishy hexagon maybe. Side, 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 side. But I almost see it more like a curvy line here and like a tent shape there. So if I kind of break it up and I see it as this shape, right here, that's where I'm drawing this line right here. That up a little bit. So we have a line here, should be here, and then this is going to go over the back here. It's going to be this line, okay? But down, if we draw an imaginary line down to here, then the knuckle, if my imaginary line comes to here, this little knuckle is a little to the left. So I place it right about here. Okay, and then this section, 1, 2, got 1, 2, and it kind of comes like this, doesn't it? You see that? Okay, does that look like it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, like this. And then the pencil or pen here comes right in about here, and it's gonna kind of disappear here, but that's gonna go out. Okay, so let's see, let's look at how wide this is. Now compare this. I'm going to use my pencil to measure. I think from here to here is the same as from here to here. But I can use my pencil to help measure. There to there. Yeah, about is. See, if you look across here, this is about the middle. So if I go across here, right about in the middle, looking here to here, right about in the middle, then that'll be this chunk right here. See, I want to get that big fat chunk there. Make it fat enough, because all these fingers, your brain's going to go, oh, fingers are really important. They must take up most of the drawing. But if you really look, this big fat chunk is most of it. Most of the drawing is not finger, even though your brain is going to be telling you it is, because your brain knows how important fingers are. But if you really look, most of the drawing is not finger. Okay, so we're going to have this little hole in here. You can even just think of this little hole, a little dark hole in here like that. Okay, so then from the way I see it, I'm looking at this little bump here is almost even with the pen. Now is when you can really start looking to see your shapes. And this is a plane going down, this plane of the thumb. I'm going to shade it in a little bit, the way I see it. Shade it. For me, the light's coming from the bottom like that. Okay, and then I'm looking at here. This comes around. Now's when you can kind of put in more details about exactly the shapes of the knuckles and things. And then I can see this first knuckle is, I can't really see all that well. What I see from my viewpoint is this one, and the back sticks up more. And then I can even see a little bit like that from my viewpoint here. Okay. Now I like to put in these little lines here. They're really important. These little folds of skin in here. They turn out to be pretty important. Okay. And then like in here, see those cracks here, the crack here? Those are real important. And then look how dark it is in the crack there, behind here. All in here, it's all dark. In fact, all this is dark. We'll just... Now your biggest problem is going to be if you're right-handed and you want to draw a right hand drawing, it leaves you drawing with your left hand, doesn't it? So it's a bit of a problem. But I'll show you a trick for what to do if you want to do that. Okay. So then I can see in here there's a little bit shown through of these fingers back here, and they're cracks here, but okay. So if you really need to have an outline of the right hand, one thing you can do is take your paper and turn it over, and if you hold it up to a window, you'll be able to see the reverse, and then you could just kind of trace over it, and then you'll have an outline of a right hand. Can you see right there? You go. You can kind of see it in there. See? I can go like this. There we go. Okay, and then that's how I can get a tracing of a right hand. A lot of times if you're doing a quick drawing of somebody, you know, you're making a figure standing there, putting his shoulders, his head, and you need to have an arm coming down, and the hand at the end of the arm is often a problem. Well, here's a quick guideline to how to draw a hand. I'm going to make it a little bit larger than it would be in that drawing. So basically, when the arm comes down, don't forget that the distance from here to here and here to here is about the same. And the hand is never thicker than the wrist. If you look at that. See the wrist coming down? And you have all of it together with the thumb the way you're seeing it, except if it's relaxed, the thumb kind of goes out. But none of it's really that much thicker than the wrist. So you're coming down. You could make a big meaty thumb, kind of like this, and then just think of it as like a wedge coming down, and then draw the same distance down like this. That would be the side of the palm, looking at the side, and then the fingers kind of are in a nice relaxed position like that, and then the thumb over top kind of hangs down, but it usually goes out a little bit. You make it come out a little bit like that, and then the fingers even relax, kind of go like that just a little bit. So oftentimes just doing a little thing like that, drawing kind of a simple shape like that, don't even worry about the other fingers behind. If you're just doing kind of some kind of cartoonish type drawing, and you just need to suggest a hand, you know, this will be just a small part of the drawing. Sometimes just a little thing like this is enough.